Robin, do you, as the Greens WA representative in the mining and pastoral region, do many people come up to you and say, well, that sounds a bit odd, talk about bedfellows who don't normally get on?
Well, it's interesting. I do work with the mining industry. I worked for BHP originally. I worked for Lang Hancock out in Western Gorge, Whitmer. So I've worked in the mining industry, so I have some empathy with them. I've actually got we have disagree on certain issues, but recently when it came to the Brendan Grills 25 cents, I was backing the mining industry because it was the most stupid piece of legislation that could ever have been introduced, because it actually had no legal effect, could never come into being. So it wasn't that I didn't agree that the mining company shouldn't pay some more in royalties, it was just the process that was being used was totally flawed. The 25 cents was originally a $2.06 add-on to a lease payment that was to actually help government provide the infrastructure over the formative years. It was then to be phased out.
I mean, we hear a lot of feedback in the city about public trust in the resources sector, seeing it's such a dominant sector in this state. Out in Whoop Whoop, outside of the metro areas and the great population centres, what is sort of the view of the big corporations? And of course in WA they are the resources companies.
Look, the major corporations, and I've really got to be careful I don't start sort of picking winners here, but the major corporations do what is required in the best way that they can. Is doing what is required enough? When we look at the contribution in other countries from the major resource sectors into the state economy, but also into the regions, I would suggest they most probably aren't. But I think that we've always tinkered around this. We've never actually really addressed some of the fundamentals. I think the most telling statement ever made was in 2003 in the AMEC annual report, when they actually said we have to stop kidding ourselves that the mining industry is a sustainable industry. It is not. When our resource is gone, we're gone, and therefore we're not sustainable. And I think that if we could really grasp that and look to the future of the state, because that worries me, 74, 75 years to 100 years time, when we're out of iron ore, what are we going to be doing? We don't have a reserve fund. We're 127th in the world for a future fund. I mean, you've got Norway and all the other companies that have countries, that have actually had a resource structure, have future funds that they could retire on. We have nothing. We have not banked anything. And now we've got a terrible situation, $42 billion in debt, running deficit budgets. As an ex-stockbroker, this appalls me. We have just, excuse the expression, pissed it against the wall, and we've got nothing to show for it.